Communication. It's a delicate art when you're talking to potential buyers. Ask the right questions and you're going to be driving enthusiasm and closing successfully. But ask the wrong ones and you're going to be sabotaging deals and looking like a right fool when you do it. That's why in this video we're going to cover the 5 most powerful sales questions. From discovery calls and demos to closing like a champ, these questions are guaranteed to skyrocket your numbers and catapult you way past your sales quotas. Hi, my name is Will and I make selling simple. Now, today in this video, we're going to look at 5 key sales questions that you need to be asking. And we're going to start off with a bang. We're going to look at the ultimate closing question. This is what I think is the number 1 question that salespeople need to be asking. Then we're going to look at a set of qualifying questions that uncover future problems with the buyer, timeline issues, and also the buyer's motivation as well. So how much do they need a problem solved? Are they a good fit for what you have to offer? Are they going to act soon? And then we're going to move on to one of my personal favorite questions, which we call the committer. Because not only does this question lock the buyer into what we call a social contract, but it also sets a powerful foundation for all of your future interactions as well. You're going to get a ton of value out of this question in particular. Now, before we get started, think about this for a second. Are you asking your prospects the right questions in your sales conversations? And I'm not just talking about when you first connect on a discovery call here. Instead, I'm talking about the right questions throughout the entire sales process. See, when you start asking bad questions, you're going to start sinking your sales. It makes you look like a right idiot. It scares off picture perfect buyers and it leaves your leads thinking, I wouldn't want to do business with that dude. Now, I covered the top 5 sales sinking bad questions in a previous video. So if you haven't already seen it, give it a look in the link below when you watch this one. But that leaves the question, right? What are the good questions? What are the questions that dig right into the heart of your buyer's pain points, that uncover the real problems that they are facing, that are built to quickly qualify prospects whilst driving enthusiasm, building rapport, and nudging the right leads back and forth and closer to saying yes? That's exactly what I'm going to cover in today's video. So if you're ready to start asking the right questions throughout the entirety of your sales process, let's jump right in. Now, like I said, this is perhaps the most powerful sales question that you're going to learn, and you're going to be actually shocked how simple it is. All you can ask is, hey, does it make sense to, and then what you want from the buyer? That is it. That's literally it. Does it make sense to, and then what you want from the buyer? And what's so great about this question is it makes selling a collaborative process. Rather than going for a hard sell, a hard push, trying to get your buyer to just shoving your pitch down the throat. Instead of doing that, you're going to go, hey, does it make sense to get the deal done today, get the contract signed? And if the buyer is ready to move forward, if they say yes, then well done. You've crushed it. You've closed the deal. You've closed whatever you were trying to close. If they say no, when you ask this question, that's absolutely fine as well. You're going to ask the follow-up question, hey, well, what's holding you back from doing whatever it is down here? And by asking this follow-up question, you're going to deal with any objections or sticking points directly, rather than uncovering them further down the line when you thought the deal was already done. Now, this question isn't just for when it comes time to close the deal. Instead, it can be used throughout the entire sales process. From setting up discovery calls and demos to getting into your pricing and going over the finer details as well. Does it make sense to bring Jerry onto a call next week to get into this further? Does it make sense to get a demo booked in? Does it make sense to move this over to legal so they can look over the contracts? Whatever it is, you can ask this simple but powerful sales question, does it make sense to? And this question does a couple of things that are pretty cool, right? It relieves pressure. And it allows your buyers to know that, well, we're collaborating with them. You're going to ask them if they want to move things forward, as opposed to manipulate them or bully them with aggressive sales tactics. It also keeps your prospects updated on where you're at in the sales process. And it gets the buyer thinking. It forces the buyer to think logically about whether they are a good fit to work with you. It encourages them to give you the objections so that when you get a no, you can follow back around and say, hey, well, how do we move things forward? The buyer's going to coach you on how to do it. Then you can ask the question again. okay, now we've solved this issue, does it make sense to move forward? And I'm going to be going into much greater detail on how this question works in our closing framework training video, which is coming up in the next few days. So make sure that you click subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss it. Now, let's take a look at the next set of powerful sales questions. These next 4 questions come directly from the diagnosis framework in Selling Made Simple Academy, which you can find over at salesman.org or in the link below this video. And these questions are perfect for discovery calls, demos, sales calls, and everything in between. And so let's get started. We're going to look at the question, hey, what's stopping you from solving this issue yourself? Now, there are 2 benefits specifically to asking this very question. On the one hand, you're going to be qualifying the prospect. If they can solve the problem that you're trying to solve with your product themselves, then they're just not going to value you as a solution. And that can cause issues further down the road. If they think that they can solve the problem, why are they going to give you money, attention, and effort to solve it for them? But secondly, this question makes the buyer value what you offer in a real way. Because what you're doing here is framing up that there's something holding them back from solving the issue. Well, we together, you, me, and our product or service can overcome that obstacle. And when we do, we're going to provide tangible, quantifiable buyer that you can't get on your own. If you say to the buyer, hey, what's stopping you from solving this issue yourself? And they go, well, it's this issue and it's that and it's this and it's 1, 2, 3 things and my business partner and then I can't get the funding to do this my way. They give you a whole rung of different things that's stopping them moving forward. Well, when you turn around to them and say, hey, we can solve this issue for you. In an instant, you've removed a ton of their pain and you've added a quantifiable layer to this of they're going to invest X and they're going to get Y out the other end. This question has qualifying power with a hint of enthusiasm as well. Pretty much perfect. Now, the next powerful question that we want to look at in this video is, when do you want to solve this issue? I'm going to ask this one because timeline is so important. It's so important as a part of the qualification process. Does the buyer need their problem solved sooner than you're able to even roll it out to them? If so, then they're not a good fit to work with you. Conversely, are they looking to solve a problem in 2, 3, 27 years from now when you're not going to be in your sales job anyway because you'll have moved on to a bigger and brighter role at that point in time? Then of course, you don't want to be spending time with this individual at all. But on top of this qualification of this, when do you want to solve this issue question, we start to drill down and solidify what's going to go on process-wise in the buyer's brain moving forward. How long is it going to take to implement your solution? What's your onboarding and training process like? Is all of this within their time window? And if not, allow them to self-qualify themselves out as well. You're going to qualify them, but allow them to qualify themselves out, which is going to make things easier on you. It's going to reduce the amount of crap in your CRM, and it's going to allow you to focus on prospects that are way more likely to get deals done. The next question is, hey, what is your motivation to make this happen? And this one is especially clever in my humble opinion, because beyond just learning more about the factors that are going to drive your prospects' decision making, this one single question does wonders for connecting you with your buyer's emotions. It allows you to raise up their emotions, which means you're way more likely to get a deal done. President and CEO of Whetstone Inc., Adrian Davis, put it to me like this on a recent Salesman podcast episode.
Fundamentally, we make decisions emotionally. And if all we're doing is spouting features and benefits, we're really engaging the logical part of the brain. The logical part of the brain does not make decisions. It analyzes and it captures information to weigh pros and cons, but decisions are made emotionally.
So with this question, what is your motivation to make this happen? You're going to look at the factors that are driving, really pushing your buyer's need to get a deal done. Is it just the numbers? They're just trying to add numbers to a spreadsheet. Or is there a company status, a respect, or even an on-the-job fulfillment level involved in this as well? Why are they wanting to work with you? When you know that, when you take the time to dig a little bit, I guarantee that there's much more to the buyer's story than just the logic of return on investment. And when you engage in that side of the sales process as well, you're going to find yourself closing deals quicker than ever before. All right. The fifth and final powerful sales question is, if we can solve X, will you commit to Y? Now, it should be noted here that this question should follow some kind of qualifying affirmation. Usually I'm going to pair it with, hey, you're a good fit to work with us, Mr. Sales Manager, Sales Leader. Hey, if we can solve your sales training issues, will you commit to getting the contract signed by the end of the week. But essentially, the value here is this. You're in the business of exchanging value. That's what your job is as a modern B2B sales professional. The buyer is going to pay for Y and you're going to provide X. You are exchanging one thing for another here. And this question, when you propose this to a buyer, it makes the even exchange of value clear. They're not doing you any favors by just buying your product, just as you aren't doing them any personal favors by selling to them either. Instead, you're coming to this with an equal footing between what you offer and then the buyer's cash flow that they're going to route your direction and hopefully put a big fat commission check in your pocket. This question and this idea of leveling the playing field between the buyer and the seller helps reinforce the fact that this is a reciprocal relationship rather than a one-sided one where the buyer is beating the crap out of the salesperson, asking for discounts and messing them about all day, every day. This question is designed to create the foundation of what, dare I say it, a synergistic business relationship. And there you have it, the 5 most powerful sales questions that you can ask your buyers. Does it make sense to? What's stopping you from solving this issue yourself? When do you want to solve this pain by? What is your motivation to make this happen? And finally, if we can solve X, will you commit to Y? When you add these sales questions to your arsenal and when you train yourself to ask them naturally in your conversations, you're bound to start closing more sales, building rapport, and sailing through the entire sales process easier than ever before. These questions make selling simple. It makes selling smart. So there we go. If you enjoyed this video, why not click the next video that's on the screen right now and continue making selling simple.